15 of the NFL season. It's a crazy week. I mean, we have Philip Rivers coming back, 44 years old. He's going to be the third oldest if he finishes the season. He'll be the third oldest NFL quarterback ever. I mean, that's just crazy. I love Philip Rivers. That whole quarterback era, Philip Rivers, Drew Brees, Tom Brady. I mean, you can even throw in Matt Ryan. That was really my childhood, so it's awesome to see Philip Rivers come back. And, I hope he does well. I'll be picking the Colts game in these picks. I'm going to go through all the games on who I think will win. I'll do money lines and I'll do spreads. Some of these spreads are kind of out there. It's kind of hard to decide. So we'll start with the Falcons Buccaneers, the Thursday night game. We have Mike Evans coming back. The Bucs, ever since they lost Mike Evans, they just haven't been the same. They started the season on a heater, and they just lost to the Saints last week. Who dat baby? I'm the Saints, but they had no business losing to the Saints. We are a terrible team. Rookie quarterback. No real excuse to lose that game. But, I think Mike Evans coming back, he's really going to reinvigorate the team. Ever since he left, they just kind of fell apart. Baker himself, he's really fallen off since Mike Evans went out. So getting his guy back, getting a big red zone deep threat, I think that'll help him out a lot. So I'm going to take the Bucs spread, 4.5. The Falcons have been really bad. Kirk Cousins, he's been more than serviceable. I like Kirk Cousins. I hope the best for him. Hate the Dirty Birds. Just got to put that out there. But I do think the Bucs are going to get their get-right game. They got Mike Evans back, and so I'm going to say 4.5 on the Bucs. I'll take the Bucs to cover against the Falcons. And then next we have the Jets and the Jags. 13.5 is crazy, which they don't even know who the quarterback is going to be. Is it going to be Justin Fields, Tyrod Taylor? I think that they got something going on. Justin Fields is sick or something. So they might not even have either one of those guys starting. So this is kind of a tough one to pick. 14 is a lot, 2 touchdowns. But the Jags have been on a heater. Trevor Lawrence is actually starting to get back into a groove. I feel like every time someone says that he gets into his groove and, he's starting to be that guy that he was supposed to be, he falls apart. So we're going to see. But the Jags defense, they're real. The turnovers are real. The Jets obviously do not have a prolific offense, so I think they're going to really struggle against the Jaguars here. So I'm going to go with the Jaguars, the heavy favorite again. Expect them to cover 2 touchdowns. This is one of those games that I think, Jets, all it takes is they get a punt return or a kick return and they're able to cover, or the Jags just let off the gas at the end of the game because they've been dominating the whole game. So I can easily see the Jets still covering. But Jags winning the game, that's a lock. The Jets have so many problems going on. Don't even know who their starting quarterback is. They're just the same old Jets. That's all I can say. So Jags 13.5. We're going to take them to cover and win. Then we got the Texans against the Cardinals, 9.5. The Cardinals are not that bad. They really aren't. Now, the Texans are on a heater. Their offense has really gotten together. Their defense is it's the best in the NFL. There's no question about that. So that I would imagine that's why this line is so big, is because their offense has finally gotten it together and everything else. But the Cardinals have been more than competitive. They kind of have fallen off recently. They played some great teams and gotten destroyed. But I think this is going to be one of those games. Texans are still going to win, but I'm going to take the Cardinals to actually cover. They lose by a touchdown or anything else. I don't think that the Texans offense is completely back yet. They're not going to be that elite level that they have been. And the Cardinals have shown that at least offensively they can still get it done. Jacoby Brissett, shout out to him. He's been making a nice little career reviver for himself. He can still sling it. He might not be one of the best guys, but he is still, I think, deserving of being one of those starting quarterbacks, even if he is on the lower tier of those. And they can put up some points still. So I'm going to take the Cardinals to cover this one. I'd expect it to be a low-scoring game. Texans probably score. It'd probably be like a 24-17 kind of game. That would actually still cover here with the 42.5. But, I think the Texans are really good. I think that they're going to win. I just don't think that they're one of those big blowout teams unless they can cause like some real hectic turnovers, defense score a touchdown, something like that. I just don't really see them winning by a huge margin. And even though I can easily see them winning by 10, just because I don't think that they have that big blowout offense, I'm going to take the Cardinals to cover. Although that one would not go into my parlay that I would pick, and I'll have that going later in the video. I'll have my parlay picks, my bet of the week. And then Bills Patriots, huge game, huge rematch, huge determinant on the season. I mean, the Bills are only 2 games behind the Patriots when it comes to winning their division. So obviously, this win right here would go a long way. Josh Allen, everyone's been calling him Superman recently, but Drake May has also been balling out. I'm pretty sure Drake May is still a better MVP favorite than Josh Allen is right now. But I'm going to actually take the Bills to get their revenge game right here. The Patriots, they're just kind of due for a loss. It's one of those games. They've been winning so much. What are they on, like a 9-game winning streak, something like that? So it's time for them to lose. They're going to drop one of these games. It's the NFL. That's just how it goes. And it would only make sense for it to be the Bills. They're another good team. And then them get their revenge. Josh Allen pulls some Superman, whatever, and get it done. So I'm going to take the Bills to win that one. And then 1.5, that's a pick 'em. That's an easy spread to take right there. And then we're got Chargers and Chiefs. The Chiefs are 4.5-point favorites, even though they're 6-7, not that great of a team. That's really just their name that's carrying the weight right there. Yeah, this is a tough one to pick. Chargers, their passing game has just been anemic the last 3 games. I mean, Justin Herbert's averaging like 120 passing yards a game. He did break his hand and have that hand surgery, so I mean the toughness, you can't doubt the toughness at all. But toughness only goes so far. I would take I think the Chiefs will win this game, but I'm gonna take the Chargers to cover the 4.5, and that's because the Chargers defense and then their run game, kind of the whole Jim Harbaugh, what he's brought to the Chargers, his whole philosophy, definitely kind of more of an old school philosophy. And that's one of those that's a really good cover kind of team. I mean, they've got good 2-headed running backs with Omarion Hampton, the rookie, and then Kamani Vidal has really come out and shown that, he is a good running back, and he did great in the filling in for Omarion Hampton with them out. But when you have 2 guys like that, when one can be rested at all times, you can constantly put it on them. Not to mention their defense. Under Jim Harbaugh, they've had a good defense ever since he got there. So I'm going to take the Chiefs. They'll probably win this one, but I'm going to say the Chargers cover. They lose by a field goal or even win. I could still see them winning. The Chiefs, obviously, they can't lose another game. They have to win out. Not only do they have to win out, but they need some more things to go their way. They need the Colts to lose. They need Phillip Rivers not to do too hot. And then they need either the Texans or the Jags, both teams that they lost, to really fall apart. So it's going to be really tough for them to be able to make the playoffs. So they're going to be playing their heart out every single week. It is a Super Bowl every week for them to be able to even make the playoffs. So I think they're going to be playing really tough. I'm going to take them to win. I took Texans to win in the last one, so I felt good about that one. But in this one, I think the Chiefs are going to win, but then the Chargers are still going to cover. And then we got the Eagles and Raiders. 11.5 is crazy, especially considering how bad the Eagles have been recently. I mean, it's kind of like that funk that they had. What was it, 2021 or 2023? One of those years where they just started the season fantastic. They were like 10-1, and then they went like 5-6 over the last, lost 5 out of their last 6 to finish the season. And it feels like they're starting to get in that funk. Vibes are just off. A.J. Brown is pouting. Saquon hasn't been doing very good. Jalen Hurts just had 5 turnovers in the last game, which really was like 4 turnovers. He had that one double turnover play. But they just haven't been that good. Their defense is still elite, but the offense it's not a blowout offense. It's not the offense of last year. It's not even the offense of what we would expect from these kind of caliber of players that they got. So I do still think the Eagles will win. I mean, the Raiders are totally a get-right game, but 11.5, that would mean that they're pretty much win by 2 touchdowns, and I just don't see the Eagles really doing that. I mean, the Raiders, they're bad, but they're not that bad. They have the line at 38.5. You clearly see that the Eagles aren't going to score very much. It's going to be really hard for the Raiders to score on that Eagles defense, but I'd imagine Jalen Hurts will probably cough up one, give the Raiders some kind of good field position that would be able to give them to cover. So I'm going to take the Raiders 11.5. Now, the Eagles still to win, but the Raiders 11.5 cover that one. That's just such a big spread. It's the NFL. These are competitive guys, and the Eagles just don't have that blowout kind of offense. So it's one of those things, I hope the Eagles can get it together. I'm not an Eagles fan, but I do like Jalen Hurts and how he carries himself and everything else. And they're a fun team when they are good. So, this is a get right game for them. But I still don't think that they're going to be able to cover and win by that 2 touchdowns, even though they do have a great team assembled. And then we got Ravens-Bengals. This is another huge game. I mean, Bengals are pretty much eliminated. They would need quite a bit to go their way. Really, the Steelers is who they're chasing now. The Ravens are just, the Ravens have not looked good. I'm kind of surprised that they're favored in this game. I would assume that's more so because of the Bengals. They're 4-9 and everything else. But we just saw the Bengals. They should have beat the Bills last week. They totally threw that game away. Joe Burrow was great until he wasn't. So I think that they got these lines a little mixed up. If anything, 2.5, it should have been kind of like a pick 'em, like a -1.5, like the Bills Patriots. But I'm going to actually take the Bengals to cover this one. I think the Bengals are going to win. The Ravens have just been so anemic recently, and like their offense being anemic, that is not what you want to see. We already know that their defense can easily give up 35 points, and the Bengals are totally capable of doing that. And then we're not so sure that their offense can really run it up anymore. Lamar is just, I don't know what's going on with him, but he's not been himself. He hasn't been running the ball as much. The Ravens' offense isn't as prolific. I mean, they're definitely not getting calls that are going that way. That Isaiah Likely touchdown or not a touchdown, that one was very questionable. I lean more to the side that I don't think it was a touchdown, but when you call it a touchdown on the field, that's such a tough one to say that that's not a touchdown. I mean, he took 2 steps. You have toe tap guys all the time, toe tap in the end zone. They had that whole deciding a catch. If you make possession and then you fumble it going to the ground can't force a fumble or whatever else. So, I mean, the NFL, they made a call right there. They made a call. Okay, but I'm going to take the Bengals to win this one. So, obviously, that's a Bengals cover. The underdog win. The Bengals are still fighting. If they had Joe Burrow all year, they probably would be up there with the Steelers and Ravens fighting for this division. But unfortunately, he did get hurt. But they're making a nice push. They're still showing that Joe Burrow's elite. That offense is elite. The defense is starting to get it somewhat together. I mean, giving up 39 or whatever it was to the Bills is never good. But that's the Bills. It's a great team. So, but yeah, Bengals to take that one. And then we got a battle of the shitters. We got Washington and New York Giants. They have the Giants favored by 2.5, and I would assume this is because Marcus Mariota, they already ruled out Jaden Daniels. And the Commanders have been really bad. I mean, they just have nothing really to fight for. I think they had a lot of expectations going on into the season. And now as it's shaking out with Jaden getting hurt and them just not being that good, they've really lost that fire. They don't have much motivation going on. And then you have the Giants who, even though they're really bad, have the first overall pick. They've got a lot of energy. Jackson Dart brings a lot of energy. They've got a lot of optimism for the future. So I think that they're still playing hard, even though they are out of the season and everything else. So I'm going to take the Giants to win this one. 2.5. They'll probably win by like 10 or something. The Commanders are really bad. They've been anemic. Mariota is more than capable to put up a game together, but now he is more in that backup role, so he will put a game up together, but he's on like a 5-game stretch where he's had 1 good game and 4 bad games, so I'm going to go on the side that he's going to have a bad game. The Giants, with Jackson Dart, he's shown that he's been more than capable as a rookie, and he can really get it done, so we're going to see that one. And then we got the Browns and Bears. A big one for this one is that they're going to be in Chicago. As you know, it's the Windy City, always really windy, and it's going to be 7 degrees, super cold. It's going to be one of those you don't want to hit them that hard. It's going to really hurt to smack a guy. So now you have the Browns with their rookie Shador going to the Bears in the Windy City on a super coldy day. And Shador has never had like an elite arm or anything else. Like that was part of what Caleb's his big selling point on him being so good with his legs and then the really strong arm talent. I mean, that's really what NFL wants to see these days. And so for this one, 7.5, I think the Browns are more than capable of covering that. However, because of the conditions, 7 degrees, going to be really windy. I'm going to take the Bears to cover this one. I do think Shador has been the best of the Browns QBs. I think that it is crazy that he hasn't started before now or even been practicing with first team or anything, especially considering how bad Dylan Gabriel has been. I mean, this is definitely something that, I mean, this is like bordering Colin Kaepernick territory where Guy is almost like shunned from the league, shunned from that starting job. He kind of had no choice to put Shedeur as the starter. They've been so bad. Dylan Gabriel gets hurt. And then he balls out. He has the best rookie game of any rookie that the Browns have ever had. And now you're wondering, like, why has this guy never even been given an opportunity to have first-team reps in practice, especially when they got rid of Joe Flacco? So a lot of controversy going over there. The Browns being the Browns, kind of like the Jets being the Jets. That's just who they are. It's in their blood. They got to really have a huge culture change. Maybe Shedeur can be that guy. I probably don't see them sticking with him. They're probably going to lose most of these games on this stretch. Losing to that Titans, that was really tough. I mean, that would have been nice to get a win under Shedeur's belt. But yeah, I think this will be an easy one to cover for the Bears. It's just not the Browns kind of game. And Caleb has the better arm to be able to slice through that wind that they're going to have. And then it's going to be ice cold. The Browns have a great defense, but you're not going to want to hit them that hard when it's 7 degrees. I mean, that is brutal. Brutal. And then we have the Titans and 49ers. 12.5, another big line. I feel like the Titans every single week are double-digit underdogs. So, I mean, it's kind of a tough one to pick. The 49ers obviously are competing for their division still. They're only 2 games out from the Rams. So every game matters. They're going to be playing as hard as possible, not to mention they're going to be at home. So that's a big part. But the Titans have really started to getting it together. Cam Ward is starting to figure it out a little bit more. His numbers really don't wow you. But if you watch, you can see that he's starting to get it a little bit together. He's not throwing the ball into harm's way quite as often. And then he is a great athlete with his legs. I mean, him shoving off the Browns defender last week just for an incomplete pass. NFL posted it everywhere. But, I mean, it was a great play, great athletic play. So, I mean, he has the tools to get it done. He's starting to get it a little bit together. So I'm actually going to take the Titans to cover this one. I could see them losing by 10 easily. You know, a touchdown and a field goal. You know, maybe they can score 17 points and it's like a 27-17 kind of game, or maybe even a 24-14 kind of game. Brock Purdy just hasn't been him this year. He's been kind of off. So I'm still going to say the 49ers win. They got a great team still, great coaching and everything else. The Titans have not gotten it together at all. But I'm going to take the Titans to cover this one. 12.5 is just a big line. They just got their win. They're going to be coming off the juice of the win last week. And then, like I said, Cam Ward getting it together. So 49ers win, Titans cover. And then we have a great game on the Sunday prime time. We got Rams and Lions. It's at LA, but you know, I'd imagine Detroit's going to travel pretty hard, so it's not going to be too much of a home field advantage. It never really is for the LA teams. You know, it's kind of brutal out there. But the Rams have been great this year. The Lions have not. Lions are actually in the hunt right now. They're not even in the playoffs, so they're going to be scrappy. I have no doubt that Dan Campbell's going to get them motivated, have them hitting hard, being scrappy. So this is a really tough one to pick. The Lions' offense could at any time explode. And then the Rams are the Rams. Great defense, great offense. Matt Stafford's MVP so far in this start of the season. So this is a tough one to pick. But I'm going to say that the Rams win. But I'm going to take the Lions to cover just because of how awesome their offense is and can be. But they're just not going to be able to get that finishing play. You know, maybe they don't convert it on a 4th down that they shouldn't have gone for at their own 40, or Jared Goff throws a bad pick. The Rams have a great pass rush, and with Jared Goff under pressure, he is not the same guy. Even with how good the Lions' offensive line is, I would imagine that the Rams are still going to get pressure to him. So he is going to be running around a little bit. He's going to be panicking. He's going to be rushed. So I'm going to take the Rams to win, but I'm still going to take the Lions to cover. Them lose by 3 points. Totally could see like a 30-27, 27-24. But the Rams do still get that W. I mean, they're looking like they might be one of the Super Bowl favorites. They've been fantastic this year. Great offense, great defense, and then the potential MVP and Matt Stafford on their team. Not to mention just fantastic skill guys. Signing Devontae Adams was a great sign. It really helped to get Puka off of him. Now we have a very interesting game with this Panthers-Saints game. And you're looking at the line, you're like, 2.5. I mean, the Panthers, they beat the Packers, they beat the Rams, and now you have the Saints only favored by 2.5? Yeah, well, the Saints already did beat the Panthers earlier in this year. Not to mention they just came off of that Bucs win. Tyler Shuck is starting to look like he's getting a little bit better. He's starting to get it together a little bit. This is a really tough one to pick. This is another one of those games I would not have in my parlay. I can absolutely see the Panthers blowing out the Saints, just like I could see the Saints stealing another W like they did last time. Really tough one. They're going to be at New Orleans. New Orleans just came off of that win. Superdome's going to be loud. They're going to be ruckus. Last time they were really able to bottle up Rico Dowdle. Tough one. So, I'm a Saints fan. Who dat, baby? So, I think I got to go. If it's a 50-50 pick, I got to go with the Saints here. So, I'm going to take the Saints to cover. They don't even necessarily have to win. They could lose, like, not convert a 2-point conversion like with the Dolphins and, like a 24-22 or like a 21-19 kind of score. I could totally see that. And then they could still cover and not win the game, or I could see them winning outright like they already did earlier in this year. But like I said, this is not one that I would have in my parlay. This is just as pick 'em as it gets, even though it's a 3-10 team versus a potential playoff contender. So yeah, I'm gonna take the Saints with that one, 2.5, just to cover, possibly win. I'm kind of surprised the line is even this close. If the line was any bigger, I'd easily pick the Saints. Saints lose by a field goal, that's an easy pick. But 2.5 is a weird number. But I'm still going to take them. I could see them winning. So, yeah, that's one. And then we have the Packers and Broncos. Another great game. These are great contenders. Both of these teams think that they're contending for a Super Bowl. They actually have the Packers favored this one, even though they're at home in Mile High. Mile High is one of those good home field advantage kind of sites. The atmosphere, the altitude. A lot of things go into that. And then Denver's defense has just been spectacular. Jordan Love's been great this year, but Jordan Love, every once in a while, he'll go on that streak where he just kind of falls apart and he's not really himself. I could easily see this being one of those type of games. At the same time, on the other hand, I don't believe in the Broncos. I can't say why. I just think that they're frauds. I mean, I'm not a true believer in Bo Nix. He's a great athlete. He's got great tools. Sean Payton's a great coach. He's great at scheming, but their offense there's something about it. I mean, there's all these screens, all these short passes. They did this with Drew Brees, but Bo Nix is a lot more capable with his legs, a lot more capable with his arms. So I'm really surprised by how the offense is shaken out. They've also got some great deep threats with Mims and Cortland Sutton, and yet they have this huge screen game. They'll run 3 screen games in a row. I don't know if that's Sean Payton not trusting Bo. I don't know if that's just how the scheme is, because that's who Sean Payton's offense is. So it's just one of those, like, I can't really trust the Broncos, but at the same time, I can't really trust the Packers. The Packers will also just drop a game that they shouldn't. They lose to the Panthers. They lose to the Browns. They tied with the Cowboys before the Cowboys really got it together. I mean, both of these teams, it's two kind of fraudulent teams, so it's a really hard pick again. Really hard pick. It's 2.5, so it's pretty much a pick 'em, win by field goal. And so in this one, I'm going to give the edge to Denver. The only reason I'm doing that is because they're at Mile High, and Mile High is a great home field advantage site. And that defense is elite, and Bo Nix, he has some kind of clutch factor. So if the game goes into fourth and it's 17-14 and they're down by 3, I could see him easily making a run and going down the field and scoring. So I'm going to take the Broncos to cover this one, 2.5. It's pretty much a pick 'em, so I mean I'm picking the Broncos to upset the Packers and win. If you look at the record, it's not really an upset, but yeah, that defense is going to cause havoc on Jordan Love. He might regress back into the guy that he happens to become every once in a while. So Broncos on that one. And then we got Colts and Seahawks, 13.5 for the 8-5 Colts. Now they got Phillip Rivers starting. And he is 44 years old and hasn't played in 5 years. I mean, he was on the Hall of Fame nominee ballot. So this is another one. It's so tough to pick. 13.5 is a lot. I mean, 2 full touchdowns. Colts have a great roster built around them. So if Phillip Rivers has any bit of juice still in him, I can easily see them covering the score. I mean, this is like the same spread that they had for the Seahawks-Titans game. So I'm going to go on the optimistic side on Phillip Rivers. I'm going to say that the Colts cover. I can't really see him beating the Seahawks. The Seahawks are really contenders this year. They're going to be thinking that they're going for a Super Bowl this year. So I'm going to take the Colts to cover 13.5. I could still see them losing by 13 or losing by 10. That Seattle defense is great, but the Colts, man, they have great talent around them. As long as they're not able to stock the box too hard and Phillip Rivers can get something going, Jonathan Taylor should be able to at least carry them a little bit to get some points on the board. And then this is a primetime game, and we know how Darnold is. So I'm going to take the Colts to cover. I don't think they're going to win and upset. I'm still going to say the Seahawks are going to win. They're one of those Super Bowl contending teams. But on the optimistic side of Phillip Rivers coming back, I hope he balls out. Even just 200 yards and 2 touchdowns and 1 pick would be pretty dang good for a 44-year-old. So going with the Colts to cover on that one. All right, so we got the Vikings-Cowboys. They have the Cowboys 6.5. The Vikings just beat the Commanders, who are really bad. They absolutely destroyed them. It was a murder. Commanders just have nothing to play for, so I think the 30-0 win was more of an indictment on the Commanders than on J.J. McCarthy improving or the Vikings or anything. But you still can't doubt that game, 30-0. I'm surprised that they have it this big at a full touchdown. The Cowboys, especially now that the Eagles lost to the Chargers, they really have something to play for. They have a real shot at being able to win their division. So they're going to be playing tough, and then they're at home. AT&T Stadium gets pretty loud, and then they have the whole lighting. They have the afternoon game, so the sun's going to be right at the perfect spot to be able to be blinding these Vikings players. So I'm going to take the Cowboys to cover this one, 6.5. Their offense has really been great, and ever since they made those additions with Quinnen Williams at the trade deadline, their defense has really gotten a lot better. It's not one of the worst in the league anymore. It's still not up there, but it's not one of the worst in the league anymore, and they do have one of the most prolific offenses. Not to mention, I just don't really believe in the Vikings too much. J.J. McCarthy, 9. He ain't that good. I think that they should have kept Sam Darnold. They're kind of clowns for letting him walk. So I'm going to take the Cowboys to cover this one. They win by touchdown. Can easily see that. Just J.J. McCarthy and the Vikings not able to keep up with the Cowboys offense and not being able to stop them is really the big part of that. So Cowboys to cover that one, win by a touchdown and an extra point or more. That one feels like an easier pick to me. And then we have Dolphins-Steelers. Steelers are obviously contending for their division and looking for the playoffs. And then you have the Dolphins, who originally everyone counted them out. They're still out of the playoffs, but they counted them out on the season, figured they were one of the worst teams. But they've really gotten it together offensively and defensively. Tua doesn't look like he is just mush brain anymore. So this game is a lot closer than you would think. 3.5, that seems like one of those that would be an easy Steelers pick, but the Dolphins have really gotten it together. The big part of how I'm going to choose this one, because I do think both of these teams are about similar caliber, is the Dolphins are at Pittsburgh. And whatever it is, they're so used to that great warm Miami weather. They just cannot do it, especially an outdoor stadium up in the north, up in Pittsburgh. It's going to be cold. It's going to be really miserable to be out there and play. So for that reason, I'm going to take the Steelers to cover the 3.5. Obviously, that's borderline a pick 'em. They got to win by 4 or more. But yeah, just Dolphins can't do cold weather, whatever it is. But I do think both these teams are about the same caliber. The Dolphins have really gotten it together, and they're on a bit of a heater. So if it was at Miami, it would be totally different. I would take the Dolphins to win in that case. But since it's in Pittsburgh, I'm going to take the Steelers to cover the 3.5. And then that rounds out all the games. I had a technical issue, so not all of them are here. But we had the Colts covering 13.5. We had the Broncos covering / winning. I had the Saints covering the 2.5. I had the Lions losing by less than 5.5, but Rams still winning. The Titans losing by less than 12.5, but the Niners still winning. Got the Bears covering 7.5 on Cleveland and Shador in that real cold, windy weather. I've got the Giants covering the 2.5. I could see this one being ugly over the Commanders. The Commanders have just lost all their will to live. They just are a terrible team. I've got the Bengals covering this one. I actually have the Bengals to win. Lamar just not been on his thing. That offense is not looking good, even if the defense has gotten it together. I got the Raiders covering 11.5. The offense for the Eagles has just been anemic. Jalen Hurts has been terrible. Barkley has not been that guy. I still think they'll win. This is a get-right-win game for them to get back on that winning feeling. But I just don't think they're going to win by 2 touchdowns. And then I have the Chargers covering the 4.5. However, I think the Chiefs will still win this game. I just think that defense and that running game is just a low-scoring, kind of stay competitive kind of team, how they're built. And then the Chiefs are just, they're playing for their lives. 6-7, they're probably not going to make the playoffs, but they're still going to act like they are, and every week will be their Super Bowl. So I'm going to take the Chiefs still to win, and then Chargers to cover. I'm going to take the Bills to cover the 1.5. It's basically a pick 'em, win by a field goal, whatever you cover. I just think that the Patriots are due for a loss. That winning streak is getting too great, and Bills have to get their rematch. Losing, getting swept by the Patriots definitely does not look good for the future of your franchise in that division over there. And then I have the Cardinals covering 9.5 on the Texans. I think the Texans win this one, but I just don't think they have that blowout offense, and that Cardinals team is still competitive. They're not just laid over to die like these Jets are with this 13.5. So I got the Jaguars covering the 13.5. I just think that defense, we don't even know who the quarterback's going to be for the Jets, and then that defense is going to force some turnovers, give some good field position, and Trevor Lawrence has been on a bit of a heater. So we're going to go with that one. And then we have the Buccaneers covering the 4.5. They got Mike Evans coming back, so I just think that they're going to be back in shape. We'll see more of what we saw earlier in the season, and they'll get out of this little dud, this funk that they've been in. So that's all my picks. I will have my parlay coming up soon. But that are all the games picks for the spreads.